When I say it's always a pleasure to be with you, I mean every word of it. In fact, I mean every letter, because when I sit here with my colleagues, we sit to learn, we seek to talk, and we seek to converse with you. The program is Conversation, and my name is Elizabeth Abai. Now, last week we started something quite interesting. A lot of people wrote in, a lot of people even called, even though we didn't take your calls because we said WhatsApp or text messages only. But a lot of people who sent in messages, even the email, requested that we do a continuation. You asked for it, we give it to you. So I still have the team in the house, and hello.
Hello. Good morning, Lizzie. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here always. Good to see your pretty face.
That's Lynette. Somebody asked why Lynette, and that was on
Lynette, not Lynette.
Okay, on the pad.
Yes.
A question somebody asked, and I said she will answer you later. I don't know.
What
Maybe you
was
get
the
to answer that
question?
later. And Kevin, so you may want to answer the question right away.
What was the
Lynette.
question?
She said, why not Lina? Why the net in it?
Well, it's French. That's the simple answer. It's French. Our French is beautiful. C'est bon.
Ok, c'est bon.
Yes.
C'est pas là vous. Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Lynette.
Tu n'es pas Lynette. Ok,
Yes.
je m'appelle, we're going on a break. We'll be right back.
I said the French language is one of the most romantic.
Accept the child because the child is innocent, but the mother, I will not be able to continue with her because of the unfaithfulness. I will still have the same love I have for them from the beginning.
No, I'll give the child out for the owner. I'll give them to give the owner. It's not my blood now. It's not my blood. In the full source child, there are people that you hear that a child kill a father. These are the reasons that such things occur.
In Nigerian culture, we don't reject children, especially in the Igbo culture. Any child that comes in a marriage belongs to the family, irrespective of how the child comes. You understand? So if you look at it culturally, I may reject the child, but the family will keep the child because it belongs to the child, because the woman is my legally married wife. You understand? So, but you know, as a human being, being who human being we are personally, if I want to speak on my own capacity, I will not accept the child. I will let both of them, both the wife, the woman and the child, let her take the child to whoever owns the child. That is, as an individual, I'm talking as an individual. But then you consider the society we live in and the kind of the cultural heritage. You will not do that. You will not do that.
Actually, in the first place, I will feel bad, but the child is for everybody, and you might not know who you are raising. So, for the sake of the child, you can raise him normally as your own child. You give him the proper training. You empower him, and a mistake can come at any time. Yes, if the father of the child is still disturbing her, he did his blood. If really he can be able to take care of it, I can give him his child. But if he cannot take care of it, the basic thing is the welfare of the child. If I'm in a position to help him, I'll really fight for it till I see the end of it.
It's the understanding that I have. Children are blessings from God. Even though I'm not going to feel happy at that point, but it's not going to be something that I should discard the child. But I'm going to accept it. Though I'm going to comfort myself first, then accept, because the destiny of the child matters. Every child has a destiny to carry. And at that point, it will help me to take care of the child and even other children. That will become a testimony.
Let me not pretend. I'll feel sad. And each day I look at the child, I feel very, very bad. And I feel that the mother have betrayed me. To be sincere, I will not be happy. Even the child is still in my house, I will not show any difference, but seeing him, it will remind me of what happened. It takes the grace of God for me to forgive her because he has shown that she has stabbed me at the back.
Conversation started off last week, and a lot of things happened between you and us in the studio by way of your questions, your suggestions, your contributions, all of that. We intend to take off with what you started last week by way of some people ask questions, some people make observations. So let's see if we can take as much as we can. I mean, am I in order?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. So let's take as much as we can before we begin to chew the rest of the angles to the topic. This one says, I really like this conversation because we are struggling with this in our community today. That is from Joshua Elisha. I don't know where you're writing from, but take the next one. Hello, good morning. A friend of mine is in a relationship where her spouse, she and her spouse are both AS, and she feels like the marriage can work with faith and hoped that there will be no issues. And at the same time, she is confused and scared. Please, what can she do in this case? She says it's a relationship. Both of them are AS. I don't know.
Well, it's possible if they are going to get married, it's advisable they decide to endure the hurt to avoid the pain tomorrow. If they want to take the risk, it's very possible that first two might be AS or AA, but the third and fourth, the likelihood of having an SS child is very high.
It's very high.
Because I give myself as an example. I got into a similar kind of situation, risked it, and had two beautiful kids who are AS and AA. And I told my second wife then that I'm no longer interested to go further because if you take the risk further, you might just get into it. So they can agree to. Some are not lucky. From the beginning, from the very first child, you have the SS. So it's always advisable to avoid it if you know it. Now, what a lot of people do is that they tend to want to avoid the hurt, and they end up living with the pain. My advice is endure the hurt now to avoid the pain.
The truth is, from few people I have actually, seen reality. They get married, they're full of love, but when the stress that comes with the SS, that love dies.
That's why I said the pain.
Yes,
if you
dies.
avoid the hurt now, you will live with the pain for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But if you endure the hurt now, you can avoid the pain. It's a simple thing that I advise for people to do. With today's reality, we get to know now. Before now, proud to, in our mother's days, in our parents' days, it was always seen to be some spiritual thing, or they say it's a Obanje's child or something, not knowing that it's actually a medical condition that can be managed. Some people do blood transfusion, a total blood to cleanse off. Sometimes they don't succeed, some they do. So why take the risk?
Yeah, and it's pretty expensive.
Yes.
Lynette, would you back out in the relationship because your partner is AS and you're AS?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. If my partner was like my soulmate and very understanding and we could walk through the storm together, I would. But then if my partner has selfish tendencies, then I wouldn't.
When you say if, the condition, that's...
Yes, conditional.
The
because
condition
you need
of
to check,
if.
You need to check everything.
It's probability, right?
Yes.
Because when you say if it will be this, it will be that, then you'll be able to. By the time the challenge comes in, the ability to go through the storm, it's no longer the if condition any longer.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on his personality. There are people that will give their head for you, and if he's that kind of person, why not? But there are others who just want to leech off you. So if the person's a leech...
Which means prior to the consummation, you want to be sure that your personality is actually properly defined. You'll get to know the level of compatibility and complementariness.
Yes.
The truth about having any good relationship is being truthful to yourself.
Number one.
Yes. The truth is, whatever the person exhibits afterwards, he showed you some signs earlier. So if you ignore those signs, then it only gets worse. Because now he's comfortable and it seems like you're not going anywhere in a hurry.
All right, let's take more questions. I was born out of wedlock, tried to meet my father for about 4 times. We had good conversations. Then he eventually changed his attitude towards me. I think maybe because of religious differences. He then told me not to come to him anymore without my mom. But my mom is nursing a hurt from him. She does not want to see him. Now, I'm a father and my children are asking about their granddad. What should I do? Thank you. That's Skyang from Kaduna.
Well, Kayang, you need to come to the point to realize that this is a reality and embrace it. It's important your kids also get to know what is really happening in your life and not necessarily pretending about what is happening. There might be certain reasons why your father is actually running away from you or creating the distance. It's probably the hurt is also suffering from your mother. But let me say this, no father or no parents have the right to transfer the level of stupidity to the kids.
Exactly.
It's
because they're innocent.
Yeah, it's stupidity.
Well, it's being mean, and selfish.
It's as harsh as it sounds, no child should suffer from the parents' stupidity. We should be able to separate the kids from our interests, no matter how beautiful, how good it looks. If we get to that point, this kid, imagine a grown-up man still desiring to connect with his father.
It hurts.
It hurts.
Yes.
It creates void.
Yes.
And if it's not careful, you see him play that out with his own kids. Because what we oftentimes resist, we attract. Right? So we need to be able to get to that level to say, okay, this is the reality. If he engages his kids and tell them the truth, he will find succor in them. And he won't be able to see that void any longer. Then he will be able to have this attachment with the kids. But if he pretends about it, then he will suffer it alone.
There's something you said I want to maybe differ a little bit. I always say to myself, whatever experiences that I went through that I don't like, from other people, I don't want people around me to experience it. And I made good at that when I was in secondary school. Junior secondary, the seniors were always very mean. When I became a senior student, I never touched cane. I never touched a student because I felt I didn't like that.
Thing.
So why would I want to?
Self-realization.
Yes.
I did the same thing.
So if your father is treating you badly and you don't like it, I think you should be able to, feel good knowing that you've treated your own children
When
well.
you come to the realization and make up your mind, that decision stands. But if you don't come to the realization, you live in self-denial. What you ate of your parents, you oftentimes find yourself wanting to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It subtly happens.
Well, sometimes you could get professional help because the truth is he needs a lot of professional help. His mind is going to lie to him. His environment will lie to him. So there's so many things that he needs to battle with alone. So he needs professional help.
You need professional help. Closure. Every human being needs closure. In some cases, you can actually find a father figure that somewhere else that you can pour your heart and bond with.
Yes.
That takes away the replacement.
Yep.
I don't know what must have transpired. I don't know what religion they practice, but we need to sound this. Parents should be parents and remain with their stupidity and not transfer it to the kids.
Yeah, take it. Okay, let's move on. Good morning. My question is to the man on suit. Okay, Kevin, this is on you. Being a father doesn't necessarily mean biological. You said if your 13-year-old son, you said last week, if your 13-year-old son you found out is not yours, you will detach your relationship with the child. That's totally wrong. Instead, you should love the child more and continue with the same relationship I had or you had with him or her. Forget about what society will say.
Okay.
You didn't write your name, though.
Anyway, whoever the anonymous, you see, I think you didn't get to understand it. If you heard me said I would detach myself, it's basically coming to the truth. Knowing that this is not my child and I've been loving the child all along, it's natural. I don't need to pretend about it. The first thing that will happen is you will withdraw, right? you make up your mind to love the child. And I said that very last week, I said, love is something that you can't withdraw. You can't take it away. Every other thing around love, you can withdraw, you can seize. But love is a unidirectional outflow. So if it's love that I've given to this child, it will remain. But the reality needs to be made clear, which is that, hey, I'm not your father, but I can play a father figure role. So if the father of the boy is alive, why won't the father become the father of the boy? Why would I deny?
How about, question, how about if you save the boy the pain and just accept to be his father?
Okay, now I can do that.
Yes.
If we have to come to the realization that this, the truth, right? This is your father, yeah. And the father is not going to play the role, then I will stand in. But why do I need to take another person's place when the person is alive, denying this child of the bond that they will enjoy together?
Will they really enjoy a bond?
Of course, they will. You know why?
Why?
The woman that made that, took that step, did it deliberately. There was a connection between both of them. It wasn't a rape case. It wasn't, insemination. This was something that probably had happened with her eyes all clear, with her two left legs, and she had gone to get this thing done. So it means that in the course of intercourse, there's that transference of spirits that connects with the child. So if the child grows up to see the father, you see the connection. Why do kids look for their parents? It's because something is missing. The void can't be filled until you know it's never there. Until you get to that realization, you can't fill that void. I can play a role in somebody's life as a father figure, but does not take the place of the father of that child.
Another question.
Yes.
How would an orphan find their father?
It's simple. If I get to the orphanage and I find a child that I connect with, I can adopt that child and treat that child like mine, as if it's mine, making that child to feel all of the love that the child will feel from a father. I would do that. Now, that is self-realization and acceptance of a reality. If I go and let me just, that's pretense. Pretense takes away your self-essence, and I don't want to be pretending in any form. I mean, Lizzie says something, she doesn't like pretense. I wanted to make a comment then, but after the show, we'll do that.
So go ahead.
No,
I know she's probing, she's trying to land somewhere.
These are my thoughts.
Okay.
I'm very attached to children, and my happiest moments are with orphans. So I spend a lot of my time with them. I teach them. I try to make myself a role model and to shape in their minds so that they don't feel like there's a void, as you said. Now, this child in question, he's the victim. At some point, he's going to feel lost because the truth is his mom left the supposed dad and found another dad, and now this dad doesn't want him. And now I can't live with that dad because he's living with someone else. Or he's even denying it.
Okay.
He's going to be lost.
Not only lost, he's going to be bitter towards society.
Exactly.
He will
So
play
the
it out.
best thing...
Someone needs to come in.
Exactly. The best thing, if you would think about that child for a second, work things out with your woman, God forbid, not
God forbid, it happens.
Well, it happens.
Yeah.
I'm saying God forbid in your case. You work it out with your woman for the sake of that child.
When you say...
And you'll be surprised that child will never have a bond or spiritual bond with the biological father.
Well, if you
One
say
more
that...
question.
Okay.
You've heard about sperm banks?
Yes.
Now...
My Tasa is one of those.
Nice. So how do those children begin to look for their fathers?
Okay, now, if you look at, I don't know if you've actually done your own research. If you look at children born out of donor sperms, you notice a void, irrespective of how the environment with which they grow up, the love they tend to enjoy. There is always a disconnect. There's always a disconnect. If a child that grows up in a home where the parents are together and there's so much love, becomes a better citizen of the society.
Yeah, Kevin, I seem to disagree with you. I listened to her talk. I have my best of moments really with children, which is why I always tell people I'm going to be 16 because I always feel like a child right in my mind. You know, and I know there are a lot of, I have 3, biologically speaking, but the truth is I have more than 12. And I know most of them may still have their biological parents alive, but there's this bond. And like you said, if I call them my child and I treat them like my child, and they're in the house, and they're just seeing the love, you know, within the family, that's the love they're going to grow up with.
Exactly.
That's the love they're going to show to the society.
Exactly.
Connect or disconnect, I don't know.
No,
Look,
I agree. There was a case.
people-
Sorry, there was a case in that happened sometime a few years back in the UK. An adult male will realize at 38 that his father, the man he's been calling father, is not his father. It's black. It's a Nigerian. The moment he got that information, there was a disconnect with the father that he has always known to be a father.
The only reason
know,
why I say people
it's
can
more
go
like
ahead.
You know,
Curiosity,
I
if you ask
grew up with a lot of kids in my neighborhood. In fact, I was more like the babysitter for a lot of parents. They bring their kids, stay with me until midday or afternoon or in early evenings. It was fun connecting with these kids. Doing that was out of purpose. Sitting with kids out of purpose, you've come to the realization this is what you want to do. You want to be able to connect with these kids and you're feeling a void. It's beautiful, but it does not take that aspect of father-child relationship or parents-child relationship that oftentimes comes. Now, sometimes because of the circumstances of birth, some parents tend to, you know, be absentee parents because of circumstances of birth. Probably the pregnancy was not planned for, or at the time of the birth, certain things happen. Either the kind of faith they believe in, you know, because sometimes they say some kids in some religion, they call them like, you know, some names, you know, so those limited information that they gather, you know, forms their opinion about this child. Such children suffer greatly.
How about if you change the environment?
If you change the environment, they experience love, the kids will give back. Kids are like sponges, right? They are like sponges. But like I said, the thread of connection between parents and children, it's not replaceable.
All right, let's take more questions before we ignore some people and they get angry with us. It's a good day, sir and Mars. Is it possible for a guy who has gotten a child while in secondary school, gets married to another woman, and found out that he can no longer father a child? This is by Ade. He didn't write where he's writing from.
Yeah, you know, the lifestyle, sometimes certain STDs and STIs are not well treated can affect your sperm production. And you get to the age where from 500 million, you now have like 100,000 only or less than 100,000. It's going to be really an Herculean task, especially if the woman is not that fertile also to be able to have conception. So these things happen. It's not out of place. Your child from childhood, probably also, I mean, for someone who has a child in secondary school, probably has also a lot of untreated STDs or poorly treated STDs that affect the sperm duct completely. You know, these things happen. That is why men need to know that if you're going out and you can jig it everywhere, also try to get the right treatment. You know, if you're jigging, be sure you have the right treatment. Or you use the raincoat, like they call it. The condom must be used if you're jigging. If you can't abstain, please do the right thing so that you don't get to either father children that you're not prepared for or contract diseases that will end up affecting other people. And so when the men carry these diseases, the women don't even know.
True.
Because women are basically receptors. You know, they don't even know. And the other person comes in and it goes on and it goes on. The more the disease remains in that environment, the more it becomes like a landlord and start creating a lot of havoc in other people, innocent people. You know?
How innocent is innocent? Let's find out. Martin from Apo says, I greet you all. I married a woman who knows that she cannot conceive, but she hid it from me. And after the wedding, she started pressing for adoption. So is only man and lady in question is a sex addict that does not produce anything? I don't know, but I guess basically the woman knew she had issues, and
that's deceit. It can actually
it's deceit, and it can actually be annulled. Such marriages can be annulled.
Of course.
All right, we'll take on more. It says, please, sirs, ma, how much can we spend on DNA tests? From Shehu Ali. I don't know the cost, but I know it's
From
pretty
50
expensive.
to 150.
I know it's pretty expensive, depending on what you're looking
from
for.
50,000 to 150, depending on where you're going to. You can get that. Lagos State set up, a fantastic laboratory. I think last year or 2 years ago. So you can explore that. But please, if you're a man and you want to do DNA test, don't let your wife know. And if it turns out that the children are not yours, it might lead to death, because unfortunately some men can do anything, and some men can also do anything to hide their shame.
Yeah. And the man needs to be mentally prepared.
Yeah, for it.
Okay. Talking about mentally preparedness,
And he needs to be double sure. Like,
he needs to be
have
double
a second
sure.
opinion.
Yeah, a second opinion, because sometimes also there are children swap in the hospital. Sometimes
Yes, I know you mentioned that.
mischievous nurses do that. They swap, children. It was until recently somebody of about 30-something years got to know that the parents have been swapped. The kids have been swapped in the hospital, and it was done by a nurse deliberately. They do this sometimes by error, especially when you go to general hospitals that have too many babies at the same time. The tendency to have the right this thing.
But if you tag them, you won't make mistakes.
That is where you have a proper management system put in place. When you have a situation where, you don't born, put her for that place. And say, Sister Agnes, take. And Agnes doesn't even know who the mother was.
Exactly.
Put the baby there. So who say, I don't know, I don't want to get them. The people look like them.
You always look alike somehow.
Oh, yes,
because they're almost the same color.
Okay, so once I find out the child is not my child, I will ask the mother to return the children or the child to the owner. Then, if I'm still in love, I would continue as normal, but no more extreme trust with her, because the heart is broken while the passion is shared. God bless us all. I didn't get the name of the person because he didn't write it, but let's see if we can get more. This is a nice topic, and I'm sure it will help us in the society. If the church has told me and my spouse to do fertility tests years back, along with HIV, genotype, I'm sure I would not have been in the mess I am today. Please, the church should include it on its tests founding. Thanks, stay safe. You didn't write your name, but
I agree with that.
Yes.
I agree with that. In fact, I suggested also in the church that we need to go beyond just doing HIV/AIDS and pregnancy tests. There must be fertility tests. If you're also advising people to avoid premarital sex, then there must be, because the tendency for people to hide under premarital sex and get into marriages that they know they're not fertile is disheartening. For a woman who has had a type of sexual experience, getting into a marriage where she will be starved for such experiences, and the man comes up with one excuse under the guise of religion to say everything, we are married now, so God understands. Only God knows why. God doesn't know why with the things you put yourself involved in. We can't be leaving things, our stupidity to God. No, I won't subscribe to it. So they need to do fertility tests. Check the man, check the woman. They need to also see the level of virility and ask those questions. During the course of premarital counseling, what is your height? What level of exploit you've done? That needs to be to the table. So you want to know
how much the man or the woman has dated?
Not dating, no. Your sexual experience needs to be effectively communicated. The things that takes you to your heights, it needs to be communicated. Not like I've done so many men or so many women, no. Let's be sure that your level of exposure meets up with my level of exposure, or that can be compromised. Imagine you're after premarital counseling and the man says what he loves best is anal sex.
Ew.
And that you have never tried that before. What a shocker, right?
Let me take another question.
Ew.
Good morning, all. My fertility test shows that I am infertile, and the DNA test of my 8-year-old child shows that she is mine. So what should I believe? This is quite dicey. He goes to the hospital. He's told that he cannot, father a child. Meanwhile, he has a child.
I think maybe they didn't understand it. It's when you don't have any form of erection at all that you can say you can't father a child. If you have erection and there's dissemination of semen, once ejaculation, even if it's small, the only thing is that the chances of that impregnating a woman is slim.
Some people produce dead semen.
Some people produce dead semen.
Completely dead.
Dead. Now, if it is completely dead, you can also see from the erectile function. Because see, if there will be semen, there will be erection. If there won't be semen, there won't be erection, because the blood flow can only activate.
But the sperms could be dead.
Well, when they say dead, I will not agree completely. It's completely dead.
I am very sure what
I've
I'm
not
saying.
really been attuned to
I have
that.
a cousin
That
who
it comes out and it's
produces-
completely dead.
Yeah, dead. No child till today.
Probably from the sperm duct. It's either lifestyle, because see, the scrotum is oftentimes on a 0 degree.
He had an infection
Okay.
during his teenage. He wasn't randy or anything, but of course he grew up in the village, and he didn't have the proper treatment. Yeah, so till today he just shoots blank bullets.
Okay. It's possible. For this case now, the man said, he's infertile, and he's having the DNA test shows it. Further investigation can be done. We can't rule out anything. We've seen cases where DNA test has also been compromised.
And I know someone who genotype said at a point AS, and eventually, no, he said AA. Because she said she was often having malaria, so they just concluded it was AA. She actually did a test, and he said AA. By the time she got married, she didn't bother to check. Anybody was okay with her. After all, I'm AA. They got married. They started producing SS. They went back to check. She was AS.
And the
Her husband was AS.
How sad.
But the first test had already told us. So sometimes these tests are not as clear as they should.
Yeah.
And we will continue on that. My director, if you're ready, we want to take a little bit of break. When we come back, we'll take All right, a lot of people are actually asking how they can link up with us. Those of you who are outside Nigeria, I see your messages here, but just go to visiontv.co.uk and tap in. If you're using maybe Android, you can go to your Play Store and download it. Go to NTA International, is there, and tap. You'll just see us talking to you one-on-one. So that way you send your messages, and we get to take it and reply. We have a lot of them here still coming on, and maybe we'll take a little bit more and get to talk more. Good morning. Well, it happened to me. I was married with a child, but along the line, we separated, and I'm married again now. But the problem is, the man I was married to before gave my child, made him the best, was the best daddy in the world. What do I do now? But I don't know if your first husband is, the father of a child, but I don't think it is, because she said she was married with, maybe she went into the marriage.
She went
it's, like what I kept saying, is acceptance. The man decided to accept everything about her and embrace the child she came with, and didn't want the child to feel any voids. And so if he's doing that, it's fine. But that child should not be denied his father or mother. In any case, there will be no child should be denied access to their biological parents, irrespective of societal standing or economic benefits. In some cases, because of economic benefit, that you see a parent, wanting to transfer a child to another parent so the child can have some form of secure future. And in some cases, they don't turn out to be so. Once a child gets to realize that this is not my father, there's always a disconnect.
Yes.
There's always a disconnect.
All
So
right,
the child doesn't know.
This is a tricky one from Good Luck here in Abuja. It says, a lady of 15 years, barren for 15 years, was suddenly, robbers came to her place to rob. They also had sex with the lady, and she got pregnant. What should she do? Abort the baby or not? Good Luck from Abuja. That's a strange one.
No, it's a personal decision. If she decides to keep the baby, it's fine. If she can live with the trauma, if she can live with the trauma of the experience, the rape, and the fruit of the rape, if she wants to keep it because she's been barren for 15 years, and she's married, and the husband accepts it, then that's your cup of tea. I won't be here to say and judge anybody, no. The suggestion I can only do is that you look at the process and think that if you have the capacity to go through the trauma, would it be a secret that that child was a child that came as a result of the rape? Or is it that the husband is afraid of the shame of the public and decided to say, don't want to keep it, let it be as our own? You know, if they do that, that's, you know, a kind of a connivance, isn't it? If somebody get to find out tomorrow, what will be that child's disposition? Psychologically, how would that child embrace this reality that it was one armed robber that came to rob us that is your father. That child will, you know, forever remain, I don't know how to put it, mentally deranged, you know, somehow. It will be a challenge. Except there are other factors that comes in to help to assuage, you know, compensate for the loss. You know, if not, I doubt.
Well, if the rape happened and it's just the couple that was, I mean, the witnesses, who else would know?
You know, what they call secret is no longer, it's not secret.
Sometimes the secret can be a secret,
you know, because
for the right reasons.
For every individual that has gone through some kind of experience, there's always a let-out window. It might not be direct with the individual that you had this thing with, but you find yourself wanting to tell somebody what you have gone through, what you have done. It could be, if you're a Catholic, you go to the confession box and could just say to the father, the wars have years, the best takes our information.
So, but then, would the person know that he had impregnated the woman?
Well,
no, definitely not. But, you know, still coming back to the issue of abortion, I think, apart from the fact that the woman may have been barren for 15 years, legally speaking in Nigeria, in fact, it's across the country.
It's a crime.
It's a crime to have an abortion.
Yeah.
So, and if your wife was raped in your house and you're aware that the wife was raped, you should not call her unclean. You should accept the child and accept the woman. You know, pretend like nothing really happened, if you ask me.
Anyway,
you know,
you have
unless you know the criminal.
You know, you have a point.
Uh-huh.
How about the situation where during the course of the rape taking place and the woman was responding?
Come on, it's rape.
No,
Rape
you don't understand.
is rape.
No.
She didn't ask for it.
No, you don't understand. I said in the course of the rape going on.
No, come on.
And you could see the reciprocity
No,
that was taking place.
That's impossible.
No, it happened in this city. In this Abuja, yeah, it happened in this Abuja.
Except if it was a planned
rape. The man said he would not be able to live with her again when he saw the way she was responding.
Kevin,
it's crazy.
For me, it's
right?
crazy, and it still does not give you impetus to
no,
really,
it does not. It does not.
But
child. You can also appreciate the man's position when he said he was no longer interested in the marriage again. And he said, why? He said, but she was. He said, no, it was the act. That she has never enjoyed.
Personally,
she has never responded the way she did.
So what if she was in pain?
I don't know.
What if she was in pain?
In pain, reciprocity?
Yes. No. What do you know? Pain and pleasure sound alike.
No.
Exactly.
Where they got the same P, but if somebody was enjoying sex,
no.
It's better when somebody was going through pain.
No.
With the sex.
Just
I
like
doubt
both of them starts
it
with
happened.
P.
Exactly.
Sometimes yes. But let's not push it. The basic thing is it's illegal to actually think of abortion.
It's illegal, yes.
Unless the wife or the woman involved, her life is threatened. That's the only position, and it's only the doctors that can really give
if you ask me,
this thing.
we will abort.
That's
if you ask me, yeah.
Okay. So a friend of mine,
we'll go through the
is a lady writing this. A friend of mine says is a lady cannot give birth, and she knows she cannot give birth. She does not want her husband to know or to have a child outside the marriage. The man is eager to meet a lady to give her a baby. Is it wrong?
If they both agree, it's not wrong.
Communication.
You see, we need to be honest with ourselves. The woman knows, the husband does not know. All she needed to do, probably she had got into that marriage for economic benefit or for societal recognition. Now the chips are down and she's looking for shortcuts. I think she must come clean by telling the husband, look, sweetheart, whatever name she calls him, apply the Sarah's principle. Seeing that the Lord has not favored me this much, I will advise that you get someone outside so we can both have children psychologically.
That happened in the Holy Book.
Yes.
Between
Sarah and Abraham.
Yes. So I believe that once we have agreement, have conversations around it, just like we're having a child, which is why it's always advisable to marry your friend.
Exactly.
Don't go into contractual marriage. Because your friend will not lie to you.
Exactly.
If I have, things that are not okay with me, including not being able to bear a child, and I have a friend,
And
I will tell you, look.
And it's fine. We can adopt.
Exactly, you know. So, but if you go into relationship that eventually leads to marriage because there's a financial benefit, because in certain places you must marry a family that has a name. I don't know how that happens.
No, you know, they do that. You know, I see that happen from where I'm coming from. We see that happen. A woman will have children with 3 different men because of the family name. Want to have every child to want to come out from a good home. They do that. There's something I also wanted to say. You know, we need to also come to terms with the fact that whatever that happens in holy matrimony is holy. Whatever that happens in holy matrimony is holy. If both of them agree as touching any decision they agree, it's settled. It's settled. So we need to, if they get to know this truth and embrace it, there won't be need for this secret, deceptive style of trying to do things. She knows she can't conceive, so that, let me tell you the truth, I can't conceive. If you're ready for it, fine. If you're not ready for it, please stay your own, so that we don't get into it. Oh, I'm ready. Okay. If the man has to having it, let's go and adopt. If we give room for adoption and society embrace adoption, I think more of these parents will no longer be looking for a way to cut corners, going to buy baby, having baby factory, you know, all of those things. When parents don't drive their kids because they got pregnant out of wedlock, it means there won't be room for, you know, baby factories anymore. Let society embrace their shame, so that we can get more fame around us. But when you avoid the shame, you see all the things that happen.
We'll eventually get there, because at a point in our lives, to have a CS, you know, the cesarean section was considered a taboo for
some
a lot
places.
of people, yes. But now I see women even telling you,
elective.
I don't want to go through that. Just, it's becoming elective now. All right, I'll suggest the couple should keep the baby from the rape acts. Who knows? That might open doors of blessing for their own biological children to come. That's Ochi from Abuja. You were talking about.
Those are excuses. Those are excuses.
Is that excuses?
Yeah, those are excuses. I've not had baby for 50 years. Maybe this is what God wants. No, no, it's not what God wants.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Question. Do those children need to remain at the orphanage or orphanages?
Which children?
The orphans, yes.
No. Why do we have orphanages? Intervention measures, isn't it? It is because of failure of governments in ensuring that orphanages are properly monitored and children are easily transferred to foster parents or for adoption. The government is not sincere. The people also are not sincere. So people now see orphanages as a vehicle for economic stability. So they open up orphanages. Some people do that. And
some,
every now, not as a some. They open orphanages, and every now and then, they you know, orphanages now become center for taking pictures. Anybody that wants to do.
Not necessarily.
No, I know. See, I'm not saying
some.
I said some.
No,
you know, so
now you know what?
People go take pictures. People go, you know, and show that they are taking care of people. They need more hands. We know of, you know, somebody that later became a governor in this country. That's more of charity. We know of another person who happens to be very wealthy in this country through the means of charity and orphanages, showing pictures of what they're doing. And so we're feeding these people. We need more hands. And so donors from abroad sending money, and those money started becoming the individual's source of wealth.
Well, the thing is, even though you always have some bad eggs all the time.
There are good ones.
Good.
I intend to have an orphanage, but
nice.
not an orphanage in this sense, a home. Where every child that comes in there is our child.
Good. So that's what you want to do.
Same, that's what I want to do.
But then, because a lot of people cannot continue economically or financially,
we need to create the window.
Good. They need, these children need adoption. And these children need to be loved. Now, they're loving people who don't have. They're honest with themselves, they're sincere, they know that they can't produce. What do they do?
The social department is supposed to actually have an, what I would call effective communication strategy. Put it out, the processes. People get to know, look, if you need a child, we can give you. All the orphanages in the city center, well documented, biometrics taken. So if you go to social secretariat, you need a child, they could just punch a button and bring out the pictures of the children that are there. So far, the history of that child. If you go to orphanages, they don't even have enough history. They don't even know when the child, was dropped there. They don't have.
Sometimes
They don't. I mean, they don't even have enough. They don't keep data. We're supposed to have data. My intention is to have a data from the date that you pick that child. What the storyline about that child. As the child grows, you also have a storyline of that child. Or set up a website for it, and you have all of these things done. We should do better things.
Now, when you're talking websites and all of that, you're also exposing that child.
No, you're not exposing the child.
Really?
You're not doing child trafficking. What you're simply doing, you're keeping records.
On a website?
When you keep records...
How about stigmatization in future?
If a child grows up in a home that is decent, loving, there won't be any stigmatization.
I'm talking about the website.
The website.
That is open to the public.
The website is open to the public to show this is the website, this is what you do. Orphanages is supposed to have a website for interaction, for communication. Then when you have children that are growing,
shouldn't be exposed.
Well, you're not exposing children every other thing. You're putting the number of children you have in the place, and you
Not
also
with their names and pictures.
Not with names and pictures.
Well, if you don't want to do that, it's also fine. But
yes, maybe internally there's a data.
There's a data that is internally can do that.
But not.
Right,
government
so
need to ensure that it's done.
Okay.
All orphanages should have their data, synchronized.
That would be good.
Without meaning to lose track of our focus for today, which is the DNA and paternity issues. There are a lot of questions here. I'll try to go through them to see if we can maybe assemble them at once. Somebody is actually asking particularly that the women sometimes are always held responsible for these things, but a lot of times they do not know. She says particularly, what if a woman gets pregnant and she does not know who impregnated her? Is it possible?
How many people did she?
I don't know. She didn't paint the scenario, but it could have been a rape case. It could even be drugged.
Maybe.
In
that kind of situation.
Hypothetically, let's look at it that she was drugged. Maybe they used raphenol and she didn't even remember anything, and she got back home, and the husband and they don't know what's happening. Truth is often and at all times embraced. Once it is spoken, it is clear. But lies will be resisted, argued, and rejected, irrespective of how colorful it seems. So we need to get to this understanding. If it was truthful that she was raped and she didn't even remember anything, and she came back home and, something happened. There was a case of a lady who, the husband traveled. Before he came in, a day before he came in, she met with another man. And the day the man came in, she met with him. She had twins. Both are different fathers.
Now, it's the scenario that is, ringing bell in my head is that of a woman who probably got drugged, because there was a real case like that. I don't want to call her name. She was drugged via Coca-Cola. Injection was, put inside, and she got raped, or not raped now. She got used by the man. It was intentional. But she didn't go to see the man. She went to see the sister. And the sister wasn't around. While waiting, the brother offered a drink. She took it. And that happened. She didn't know. She went back home. It's possible
she was married?
Yes. It's possible she may have gone home, say, I went here, I just slept off. And that's why it took too long. At the end of the day, she makes up with her husband. And she gets pregnant, and she does not know that it's from the other guy. It's not from her husband.
Listen, let me interject here. Sperm, ejaculated sperm is not something that disappears in a woman's body. There is no way she will know that there was something
happened.
Yeah.
Wait, 1 minute. What if it wasn't much?
No matter how small. If a woman checks herself every day. There's no way you don't want to use the toilet, you won't get to know what has happened to you.
You're not a woman.
You're not a woman. I don't want to say something on camera.
The biological mix of a woman, right? The biological mix of a woman is not something that is extremely difficult to know.
Let me just help you there.
Yeah.
It's called a self-cleaning oven.
Yes.
That means some things are cleaned out automatically.
Obviously.
So just leave it there.
We know
please.
that.
Just
And
leave
you
it.
know,
No, we know that.
No, we
We know
really
that.
have to go back. What if the man, because his intake was not clean,
What if
would
he
have
used a
finished
condom?
and he cleaned the woman
What
very
if he
well?
used a
She
condom?
may not have
Even
noticed.
if
But
you use
Kevin,
a condom, she
Kevin,
wouldn't have been pregnant.
What if he
Kevin,
broke?
our time is really up. I wish we had more time to, but we're not going to do this again next
The woman
week.
is not sincere.
Okay, so that's what you say.
Yeah.
But we say that whatever happens, we should try to, live our lives as if it's ending today. That means we have to be as transparent as possible. Communicate with your partners, whatever it's worth, because communication is key.
Yes,
Whatever
it is.
challenge. And for those of us who are not married, not me, I'm married. Those of you who are not married, we must make efforts to ensure that you marry your friend. Don't marry money. Don't marry status. It's important. Bye.
Exactly. Bye.